What's up, YouTube? Welcome to Motovlog number 1. I am Mason, otherwise known as the two-wheel teacher, which is a self-explanatory name, but I'll explain it anyway. 2 wheels on a motorcycle, just 2 wheels. Teacher, that's what I do. I'm a teacher. Oh, what up, bud? Like a WR or something. Nice. So I'm the 2-wheel teacher. You are with me in Tallahassee, Florida, sometimes referred to as Tallahassee, which is not appropriate, and not accurate. Tallahassee some nights, man. We go out, we get Tallahassee. That's not true. I'm in Tallahassee because I went to Florida State for 2 years. I did a master's degree. Before that, I was in southern Minnesota. I was teaching 6th through 12th grade vocal music. So if you found this channel because you heard I was a choir teacher colleague who also rode motorcycles and made YouTube videos, like, yeah, that's true. Here I am. That's my reality. Yeah, I taught for 2 years, came down to Florida State to get better at it because I needed to get better at it for sure, and brought my then girlfriend, now fiance, with me, which was the only reason this whole thing kind of worked out. She's got a year left on her master's, so we're just a couple of music teachers that are trying to make it in this crazy global pandemic world, and I've decided to start making YouTube videos that have to do with riding motorcycles. So yeah, that's what's up. What you're seeing right now is me aboard a 2013 Harley-Davidson Street Glide. This is my second bike. My first bike was a 2007 Dyna Super Glide. My first bike was a Harley. I had no idea what I was doing. I'll make a whole story about how I got into riding, but suffice it to say that I got my endorsement. I got the green light to go shopping for motorcycles from my girlfriend, and so I did, and that's just how it happened. Riding just sort of came into my life. I just sort of willed it into my existence, and so now I do. That's what I do. So yeah, this is my 2013 Street Glide. I bought this last August, so I've had it for what are we going on, 8, almost 9 months, and it's been a daily driver for me. It has been the perfect bike for me. You know, I was a Dyna bro for a little while, but it's really hard to take trips, you know, go do some tours, go do some road trips as a couple. Can't really do that on a Dyna very comfortably. So we were living in Minnesota over the course of last summer. I had a house up there from when I was teaching up in Minnesota, and it didn't sell before we moved to come to Tallahassee. And so I rented it out for about 9 months, and then it became vacant. And Haley and I had summer jobs up in that area, in a little area called Okoboji, Iowa, which was not far from my house at the time. So we went back up there. I figured, you know what? We've got a house to live in. We've got jobs to go back to. Let's go do it. And it's a lot easier to sell a house if you're around to work with your realtor and keep the place looking nice. And so we went and did some work on the house in the area, and got the house sold, worked our jobs. And towards the end of our time there, as in like 3 days before we were going to come back down to Florida, the Harley shop in Okoboji was closing, right? And we were in there buying some, you know, the closeout merchandise, looking at mostly clothing, because like all the good bike parts had been taken, all the good decorative stuff for like your garage or your workshop or whatever had been taken, but you know, they still had some merchandise, some stuff to wear. Like I got a nice jacket out of it and whatever. So Haley and I are headed to check out, and I saw they had 4 used bikes on their sales floor, and I happened to see the price tag on this Street Glide, right? And it was way lower than what a Street Glide is typically sold for. So I went over there, checking it out. The sales guy Comes over, we start chatting, and I asked him, I'm like, what's wrong with this thing? Because it's priced way too low for it not to have anything wrong with it. He's like, well, you know, it is 6 years old, it's got 31,000 miles on it, but it was bought from this dealership by a guy who lives in town. He's the only person that's owned it, and he's only ever had it serviced here. They had a full service history and service log on it, and I was really impressed by that. And so Haley looked at me and, are you really thinking about buying a motorcycle today? Yeah, maybe. And she was like, you know, what would be the point of getting this motorcycle? I said, well, if you ever wanted to travel, if you wanted to do road trips, if you wanted to do anything like that where we could enjoy riding on the, you know, together, this is the kind of bike that would do it. Because what we had found was with the Dyna, it wasn't comfortable for more than about an hour. You know, we were out for one time for a little more than an hour, and it just was not comfortable for her. And if you've ever been on a Dyna, you know, like 2 up to go to dinner, sure. Go out to do some very light shopping, you bet. You know, you want to do 500 miles together in one day? Not on a Dyna. So she said, you know, is this the kind of bike that we can do that sort of traveling together and do it comfortably? I said, heck yeah. We can totally do that with this bike. And it's been 100% true. It has been a bike for us to travel on, a bike for us to take trips on. And that's what our channel is about. Haley and I have a shared channel. And we're making content and videos that have to do with, you know, how do you embrace the riding lifestyle as a couple? You know, if you're dating, if you're married, you know, but if you share life on the road with a person on a motorcycle, how can you get into that? How do you do it comfortably? How do you do it safely? So that's what our channel is about. And then this channel, my vlogs and what have you, are all going to be more about sort of in-depth motorcycle stuff. You know, I'm taking some trips here in the near and semi-distant future, and you know, I'm going to talk about bikes, I'm going to talk about dealerships. The trip I've got coming up next June, so in less than a month, is we've got a wedding to go to, but she is actually in that wedding, and so we're going to use that as a chance to visit all our family in the Midwest, which means you can't leave the Harley down here for 2.5 weeks. You got to bring it with you. So my trip, I'm actually doing it twice. You know, I'm doing it's about 1,100 miles either way, and so I'm gonna do a south to north leg. We'll do videos about that, and then we're gonna do a north to south leg, do some videos and whatnot about that. We're just gonna talk about how do you take trips, how do you plan trips, how do you execute trips, how do you keep yourself comfortable, how do you keep yourself hydrated, how do you keep yourself happy, you know, how do you stare at the odometer, see you've only got 110 miles, knowing you've got 430 to go. You know, we'll talk about that. So that's what this is about. That's what I'm about. It's about bikes, it's about trips, and it's about having fun. You know, and it's been really cool. I've been super inspired by users like Her Two Wheels and Blockhead that have taken the motovlogging platform and just shown how much can be done with it. And you know, I think a lot of us got a lot of extra free time on our hands these days, so that's what I'm doing. I'm taking advantage of my free time, taking advantage of my my interests, and I'm going to be using that free time to share my wholehearted interest in motorcycling, both as a solo pilot going on trips and as the pilot on 2-up trips, because there's nothing better than those 5 beautiful words, and you know them, you know what I'm talking about. Can we take the bike? My 5 favorite words. Can we take the bike? You bet, baby, we'll take the bike. So that's what I'm about. That's what you can expect from the two-wheel teacher. Motovlog number 1 is wrapping up. If you're interested at all in anything I'm talking about, or you know, maybe you don't find my voice too annoying and you will listen again, hit like, hit subscribe, ring that bell. And if there's something you want to ask me, something you want to know, something you want to hear me talk about, you got curiosities about Harley, you got curiosities about trips, you got curiosities about a street glide, Maybe you're on a Sportster, maybe you're on a Dyna and you're like, you know, maybe I want a bagger. Talk to me about your street glide. I will do that. I got videos coming up about my street glide, how I got into it, why I like it, why it's practical, I think it's honestly the perfect bike for just anything, really. If you got suggestions for what you want to hear about in the future, drop a comment, leave a like, hit subscribe, and you know, I'm gonna make what you guys want to hear. So I'm the two-wheel teacher. This is Motovlog number 1. We are out. We'll see you guys on the road. Peace.